today's episode, we're going to be discussing how to take a soil sample. We're currently standing in one of our larger green plots. We're going to go ahead and show you guys just how easy it is to take a soil sample and why would we want to take a soil sample to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll show you some of the tools we use, and then we'll go ahead and discuss how to take a soil sample, and then we'll explain the benefits of doing so. Alright guys, so here's the tools you're going to need to take a soil sample. We got a regular spade, soil probe, empty bucket. Inside this bucket we got a soil kit. Like we told you guys last year, we've been using Whitetail Institute. They make it really easy for you. Take your soil sample, you put it in a little baggie, mail it off to them. They got a check sheet. You can explain your food plot, what you're going to be planting, and then they will not only give you your soil sample results, but they'll give you recommendations for whatever type of seed that you're going to be planting for the season. The soil sample itself is the most inexpensive part of food plotting, and I'll admit when I first started food plotting, I was overlooking things like canopy reduction, I was overlooking things like tilling versus no-till, and what fertilizer you should be using. But as I learned and as I progressed as a habitat land manager and I got better at food plotting and I had a better grasp of how food plotting worked, I come to realize that it's extremely important to take a soil sample. Now, am I going to be adding a bunch of lime and fertilizer to this food plot this season? Likely not. This is a food source I've been working on for quite a few seasons now, and I've already put down a lot of inputs on it, and it's doing really well. As you can see behind me, my rye, my clover, it's greening up really quick, and from what I can tell, the soil is doing really good in this food source. Mostly, I just want to come in, get a soil sample done, just to double check and make sure things are going the right direction. So let's go ahead and let's talk about how to take a soil sample. You'll need a bucket. I like to use a probe. You can use a spade, just make sure it's not rusty. This one is rusty, so we won't be using that. We'll be using this probe. And what you're going to want to do, guys, is you're going to want to go throughout your whole food plot. If it's an acre, a half acre, maybe it's a couple acres, and you're going to want to take at least probably anywhere between 18 or 20 different samples to make up one soil sample. So I'll be using this probe. I'm going to go all around this whole food source 18 to 20 times. I'm going to throw it all in the bucket, stir it up, and from there I'll put it in my baggie that Whitetail Institute gave us. Why would you want to take multiple soil samples in one food source? Well, that's because the fertility and the pH are going to vary. There's going to be low spots, there's going to be sandy areas, there's going to be more clay-based areas. So you're going to want to try to get the average, and then from there it's going to tell you what kind of inputs you're going to want to put on this food source. So guys, let's go ahead and take our 20 samples and we'll show you how to do it. All you have to do is come up to the area. A lot of these have a foot peg on it. Step down. You want to go at least 6 inches into the soil. Lift back up. Let's see what we got for our first core. A little wet in this spot. We'll probably try to find a spot that's just a little bit drier. Which brings up the next part of taking a soil sample. When should you take a soil sample? I like to wait till about March, guys. February can still be a little bit early. Even March can be early here in the central part of Illinois. We got a lot of moisture in this food source. We no-till this food plot, so it retains a lot of moisture as well, which is a good thing. But when trying to take a soil sample, it can be kind of a pain. If you can't get a good core inside this probe to drop in the bucket, you're kind of defeating the purpose of taking the soil sample. You don't want a muddy mess. You want it to be kind of a soft. I'll show you exactly the kind of texture you're looking for. Like that. Like, it'll pack in my hand, but it's still pretty loose. I can still get it to kind of fall apart. So somewhere right in there. If it's too wet, you won't be able to get a good sample, and if it's too dry, it's just going to crumble apart, or it could end up being too hard to even get the probe in the ground. So we'll go ahead and we'll find a better spot here. We have to do 20 of these, so we're going to be moving throughout this whole food source looking for the best 20 spots. Much better. We'll be able to drop this right in our bucket now. And guys, as far as vegetation goes, don't worry about mixing that in there with it. That's okay. You don't have to pick it out. All right, we're all done with our 20 cores. We threw them in the bucket. We mixed it all up. We're gonna fill up our white baggie now. There's a line on the bag to fill it up to. As far as the paperwork goes, all you're gonna do is you're gonna write down what you're planning. They're gonna give you recommendations, And then after you mail it off, they're going to send you an email version, and they'll also mail it back to you. So you have 2 copies of your soil sample results, and it's easy as that. So guys, we're getting ready to start up our spring turkey tour. We're heading west. We're heading out to Nebraska, so we're gonna have to take a week off of our habitat series, unfortunately. But if you haven't already tuned in on our Hunt for the Harvest series, we're gonna have all our spring turkey action coming your way. Hope as far as the food plots go, this was helpful for you guys this upcoming food plot season, and we'll be back here shortly.